Well, I'm getting a little bit of an earlier start than usual. Kids just left for school. It's 8 a.m. 5 a.m. and I am on my way to the barn. Now we got a busy day today. Bit of a weird day. It's overcast and a chance of rain right through till 2 o'clock. But they've changed the forecast. Before it was like loads of rain. Now it's just a chance of a small amount of rain. So unfortunately for our caretakers who likely don't want to ship 13 babies over to school in the rain, it looks like we're schooling in the rain. We have 2 horses to qualify. Laugh Now, who had made a couple of breaks, but had really grown as a horse, and had, I guess the easiest way to put it from my perspective, grown out of the shoeing that we had on him. So I had switched him around a little bit. Still some tinkers to be made, but such a different horse now than the first time I went with him just a short time ago, that I really think the shoeing he has on facilitated the breaks that he made. Now he did try to last half 56-2. It's hard to explain. Once you get him up into gear, he's okay, but getting him there is the shaky part. So we're going to try and change his shoes and help him out a little bit. I usually like to go with the horses before we put them in a race or a qualifying setting. That just wasn't possible this week. So the first time I'll see Laugh Now will be likely in the warm-up. Will be in the warm-up at Mohawk. And then we have Crew Chief qualifying also. Schooled good the other day. Still a work in progress, but I was happy with him today. Now, I didn't get a chance to do a video last night. The races were late. I got home late. Wasn't tired. Actually had a good trip home. And I'm not tired today, but did get a good look at a lot of horses last night. Very happy with most. A few little changes, so I'll run through them right now. Very happy with Arches Rainbow. Super impressed with this filly. You guys have to respect what this filly is doing and how she's going about it. You know, we've talked about the deficiencies she's had in the past, and they're not going anywhere, and she just continues to grow and mature as a horse. It really is an impressive feat by her. So every time she races, and certainly every time she races good, I'm just floored. Will to Win Hanover. Now, pay attention, big update here. Will to Win Hanover is leaving this morning. In fact, she's leaving before I get to the barn. She's going to New Jersey to race under Julie and Andy Miller. I believe we've got her to that position. 55 last week, kind of ho-hum, kind of mile. And then last night, I believe if Scotty Young stays on the rail, we're second easy. Not only did he open the rail, but then he impeded us halfway down the lane. It happens. She raced well, though, and finished up well. I talked to Chris Christopher briefly after he messaged me. He said she was good. Felt like she could have been better, but was good. That's kind of the feeling Will to Win Hanover gives you. As she matures, she's a little bit of a different horse, right? She always leaves you feeling like she could have done more, but did enough. It's a weird feeling. I get the same type of messaging from James when I talk to him about her. So I think a move to down to New Jersey to Julie and Andy Miller might shake things up with this filly. She's there. Speed-wise, there's no reason why she can't start trotting in 53. It's just a matter of her doing it. So I spoke to Julie Miller yesterday on the way home briefly. She said, yeah, we'd love to have the filly. I'll watch her race. Sent me a message this morning at 6:30 in the morning. Said, wow, she raced really good. Nice filly. Looking forward to the opportunity. So Will to Win Hanover is now off to New Jersey. Now, we do have the ability to, and we do like to, maneuver our horses around for various reasons when it looks like they have a better fit somewhere else. Sometimes it can get a little pricey with the shipping, and I get that, but at the same token, it's important to have the horses set up in places that they can do well, right? Just going through a little roundabout here. An important message. Now, again, pay very close attention. Procrastinator. What kind of mile was that last night? 50-2 in the non-winners of 2. First off, this horse is a maiden. The only place on planet Earth he is not a maiden is here in Ontario. That fair win from last year counts nowhere. Not in Pennsylvania, not in New Jersey, not in Ohio. Nowhere except for right here. So, had him scoped last night because he did, as fast as they went, he did look like a winner halfway down the lane. always, anytime you see the horses backing away at the wire that really looked like they, I guess for lack of a better way of putting it, looked like they shouldn't have, red flags go up. What happened? Was it the bridle? Did they just go too much? That's possible. Let's make sure we know. Scoped him. He bled. Just a tiny bit. 1 out of 5. Now, that's a concerning. You have to understand the context when we talk about horses that maybe show a little blood. We're going to talk about another one in a minute. Show a little bit of blood in May and June. The heat is coming. So even if there was allergy mucus and the vet believes that this is what caused the bleeding, this is 2022. In the old days, when I say the old days, I mean less than a decade ago here in Ontario, you could use Predef and things of that nature, and none of it actually really worked that well. I mean, it was like a very small Band-Aid on a medium-sized cut is what it was. And I mean, when you talk about treating horses with puffers and cortisones, you guys know the scoop there. It's the same as us. You know, that stuff's long term is not really that beneficial to anybody. And if it can be mitigated in other ways, it's always, in my opinion, it's always worth exploring those other ways, whether that be natural stuff and oral stuff. Doesn't matter. Every horse is different, and you never know what's going to help one horse and not help another. But with Procrastinator, we went through this last year with allergies. I know where this is headed. This is not going to get better as we go along, and I believe he should be on the Lasix program, but I really would rather not interrupt his racing program. The horse was fantastic last night, and that minimal amount of blood it's small. So how can we mitigate the bleeding and allergy issue and not interrupt his program? Because for us to put this horse on the Lasix program in Ontario, it's a 14 days. You're 14 days out. Now remember, we race in every jurisdiction, and every jurisdiction, unfortunately, still in 2022 has their own rules. Well, the rule for Pennsylvania for the Lasix program is 5 days, not 14. Coincidentally, I had one of our clients, Michael, message me yesterday and said, "Is Procrastinator going to head to the next Stallion Series in Scioto?" My first instinct was, no, he just paced 51. He's racing for 17,000, 18,000 every week. Why would we bother? That was before I had the information about the scope. So I'd like to walk that back, that statement. I think with all the information given to us and me right now, it's an easy fix. Race the horse in the maiden, where he belongs, in the maiden at the Meadows next Thursday, because I'll be there anyway, which is 7 days, 8 days, I think, 7 or 8 days before the Stallion Series event at Scioto. So we can actually use the jurisdictions to our benefit in this regard. We can race Procrastinator on Lasix next Thursday at the Meadows. We can then race him again on Lasix in Scioto. Now the question begs, what comes next? I don't know. We could bring him back here where he could possibly still fit the numbers of 2 and be on Lasix, because he was entered on Lasix in another jurisdiction. So in this regard, I'm not a fan of, I am a fan of universal rules. I believe everybody in the game is. They should be 100%. It should be across the board. It'd be like playing baseball and having different rules in Seattle that you have in, in Tampa Bay. We need uniformity, but we're not there yet. And although it's not something I like, in this instance, it's actually going to help us. So that's a plan with Procrastinator. Next was Resolute Bay. A little bit short coming in. Another horse. Now, last year he wasn't trotting very fast, so although allergies were present, there was never any, I don't believe there was any blood found with this guy in any of the scopes I remember. But he did bleed a tiny bit last night. Now, this is a different situation. He's got a stake race in 7 days. In a perfect world, we could race him on Lasix. But this is not a perfect world. So we have 2 options. Now, horses have EIPH, exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhaging, has been around forever in every athlete. Not just horses, every athlete. And it's not something that, you know, when you can mitigate it, when you can put a horse on Lasix. And this is why I'm a proponent of Lasix. I think that the idea that in the last decade, horses haven't changed that much, but they're going faster. They're being bred to go faster. It used to be not that long ago, if you had a trotter that can trot in 55, you could race anywhere as a 2-year-old. That was a Grand Circuit 2-year-old. Now you might have a maiden. Pacers, they go in 49, 50 as a 2-year-old. So the idea that we have these horses going so fast and they're not going to bleed a little bit is insane. And I hear the argument. I don't want to turn this into a Lasix argument. I don't care. At the end of the day, just so we're clear, I'm on the record. I think abolishing Lasix would be one massive step backwards for our industry. My personal opinion. Now, what can we do with the red horse? We can dry him up with a little bit of DMSO and some sodium iodide today. We can give him an easy week next week. I think eventually he'll have to go on Lasix. Can we skate him through? I guess what I'm trying to say is, can we skate him through next Friday? I believe we probably can. But I think at some point, shortly thereafter, this is going to have to be addressed. I spoke to Harry briefly about it. We had some exchanges last night via text, and he said, let's just talk about it at the barn. Now, we're going to have the same conversation that I'm having right now with you at the barn. How do we mitigate this? There's more than enough blood. There's more than enough blood there to put him on Lasix, but we can't because we'd have to wait 14 days. We couldn't race next Friday. So, can we race next week? I think the answer is yes. You're still talking about a very minimal amount of blood, 1 out of 5 for blood. So I think we can, and I think that's probably what Harry would like to talk about is what does the next 7 days look like for Resolute Bay? Now, as far as overall, big picture, take a step back, I don't think it's a problem at all. Put the horse on Lasix, no problem again. We don't have that option in this case. We can mitigate it with Procrastinator. We can't dance around it with Resolute Bay. So I think Harry and I and the vet are going to have a conversation of how we attack this issue for next Friday. So that's where we're at with Resolute Bay. And then the other horse, they went in 53-2. I can tell you exactly how we can fix that. He's going immediately to Saratoga and Plain Ridge, the same as we did with the other 2 horses. That horse would be a perfect fit for either Kentucky, but I don't know Kentucky well enough yet. But I do know Saratoga and Plain Ridge is a great fix for a horse like High Gear No Fear. He's going to do well, regardless of what we paid for him, where he is, where he was, where he could be. At the end of the day, he has to be competitive, and he is not going to be competitive in 53-2. That I'm certain of. So he is immediately leaving. We're going to draw papers today, and as soon as the health papers are ready for High Gear No Fear, he will be heading to New York or Massachusetts. So those of you out there, my partners in High Gear No Fear, be forewarned. I will send a message out on the board, but be forewarned, he is heading to New York / Massachusetts. So that's where we're at with High Gear No Fear. So all the horses last night, very happy with them. I did not think we were going to be schooling today. Now looking at the real-time hour-to-hour radar, it looks like we are going to be schooling this morning and qualifying. Might be a little mucky, might be a little rainy, but that's life. Busy day today. Ollie's supposed to play baseball, but it is supposed to thunder showers all afternoon. I don't know how that'll work out. And we have Sailor tonight. Just a lot going on in my family today. A busy weekend. A busy weekend ahead, but it is a good weekend. We had a good week so far. A good week coming up. Bad draw with our girl Purple Aura. Not very happy about that. I had a lot of people ask why Corey Stratton is driving Bomb Hugger. Listen, Corey Stratton, as I said, I'll be honest, I didn't know he drove that much. But at the same token, there wasn't a whole bunch of drivers there, just regional guys. Somebody said, well, we need somebody to commit to Bomb Hugger. No one is committing to Bomb Hugger. She's the 4th or 5th best filly. I couldn't get my brother to commit to Bomb Hugger in with Aki Svansted's filly. Now, Mark wants to drive more horses for Aki. I get that. This is how horse racing is. But when you're going to a little regional track like Vernon, which that's what it is now, this is the hand we're dealt. I'm going to talk to Corey today. I had talked to Tim yesterday. We're going to enter. We are going to enter the filly who races today. Taiwan On is going to race at the Poconos and the All-Stars next week, in which case Scott Zeron and his girlfriend are going to take her over for 1 week, well, 2 weeks really, She's going to race on the 19th under Scotty and his girlfriend, and then come back to the Meadows, because virtually everything left for her except for the race in Ontario is at the Meadows the rest of the year. So that's cool. And then as far as Bomb Hugger, I think she'll return to us for a Buffalo Batavia run. Buffalo run that's coming up, and then we'll have a look. I think the next one's in Saratoga, which I suspect we could just send the filly out to Mark Beckwith. This is a tough thing about New York, is all the shipping that's involved with it. So that's where we're at with all the horses. I think everybody's updated for the most part of what is going on. Now you know what took place last night and how we're going to mitigate everything that took place last night. So with that, I will talk to you all very soon. I hope you have a good day. The best part of my day is about to happen in the next 2 hours with the babies, next 4 hours, with the babies heading over to Mohawk. So I'll talk to you soon. I'll give you an update after that. Take care, everybody.